Have you ever had a feeling that your energy is being drained? Then you're in the right place. Let's talk about it. Have you had moments where you're hopeful, inspired, feel optimistic? You are having some successes in your life. And then you have someone in your life that comes through, whether it's an ex, an old relationship, friend, doesn't have to be romantic, that comes through and they're just stuck in their old ways. But here's the thing, they see that you're having success, but they don't seem to be happy for you because they are stuck in those old ways. And the thing is that you've moved on from those old ways. You are moving on to your inspired action. You're taking inspired action. You're really optimistic about this thing. And you just feel like they're just not happy for me. They don't seem happy for me. As a matter of fact, they feel it's almost like they're at a loss for what you're doing and they want you to come back and be at a loss with them. And you're daydreaming, like you're spending your time right now. You don't have time. You don't have time to run around, do all these things that you used to do, hang out in friends groups, right? Not because you don't like or love the people that you used to hang out with, but just because right now you are daydreaming, your head is in the clouds. At least that's what other people think. Actually, other people think you're delusional about the things that you're doing. And you're just in the energy of fueling your hopes and dreams, right? And maybe while you're doing that, right? Everyone else is feeling hopeless. They're depressed. They're feeling like they are at a loss and hopeless. What is the difference between you feeling hopeful and them feeling hopeless? The difference is that you can't stay in that energy and you can't stay in their energy, because when you if you stay in their energy, they will drag you down to feeling hopeless also. And this is a very important message that I'm bringing to you today, because we are in this time, this day and time, where when you turn on the news, you're hearing things, you're seeing things, and they can really make you feel hopeless. But let me explain something to you. You have the ability to create your own reality. And I know this. I've been through some hard times. I think we all have been through hard times. But here's the thing, here's the difference. This time around, right, as these hard times are coming, I am choosing to surround myself with people that are not lingering on how hard times are, that are choosing to see and remain optimistic in life. Not the people that are at a loss or depressed, want to remain the same, stay in the same place. They want to maintain the status quo. And that's what you will find. It's not that these people don't love you. It's not that these people don't, maybe they're not happy for you. I don't know. But it's maybe they're not, maybe in a sense there's a little bit of envy because they're feeling hopeless, and then they're just like, how can you be feeling so hopeful? How can you be so optimistic? Do you want to know really what the difference is between being hopeful and being hopeless? It's a choice. You get to make the choice. Do you want to be hopeful or do you want to be hopeless? It's truly a choice. And once you make the decision that you're no longer going to be hopeless, at a loss, depressed, you'll slowly climb out of that depression. You will start to look at the brighter side. Find things that keep your vibration high. You will stop listening to the news. The news will be on a need to know basis. If there's an emergency, if there's a storm coming, yes, you need to know and you need to prepare. And that storm that is brewing, let's say the political storm that's brewing right now, and I don't want to talk about politics, but there's politics all over the place. This person hates that person and this person hates that person, and we don't like what this person is doing, right? That's a lot of negativity. And here's the thing about that. When you turn on the news, you have no control over what they say, what they do. But you know what you have to control over? You have control whether or not you turn the news on. And you can ask anybody that knows me. Yes, I listen to the news. Yes, I know what's going on. I am on social media. I am not oblivious. But I choose not to click on those things that YouTube will feed me more of. If I'm clicking on politics, it's going to feed me more politics. But if I'm clicking on things that will keep me inspired, keep me optimistic, help me step further into my purpose, then more of that gets fed back to me. And then I spend more of my time, if I am on social media at the time, feeding into that and letting that feed me, letting that feed my optimism. And ironically, there's something that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. When you stay optimistic, whether or not things are rough, right? Because just because you're optimistic doesn't make things not rough. Things can still be tough, but you can be optimistic, right? When you stay optimistic, all of a sudden, now you start to look for those things to climb you out of that, to get you out of that rough moment. And more of that comes to you. It just appears. Maybe you run into someone and you have a quick conversation, and they give you a tip that all of a sudden leaves you a little bit more hopeful. But if you're hopeless and you're feeling down, there's a thing about our body position. When someone's hopeless, usually their head is down, their face is sad. When they're hopeful, their chest is up, their shoulders are out, and they're smiling. Even if you're not smiling all the time, your posture says it all. Just because you have good hopeful posture doesn't mean that everything is wonderful, but it means that you believe that things are going to get better. And you believe that you are divinely protected. I mean, whatever you believe in, take that with you. Pray to whatever it is that you pray to, and that will help keep you hopeful. Dive into maybe a little bit of spiritual warfare. That's a message for another day. We don't have to go into that today, but that's real. If you read the Bible or any religious book at all, there's spiritual warfare out there. So that spiritual warfare will help, it will strive to keep you as hopeless as possible. And the news does nothing, the media does nothing to keep you hopeful. Like I said, it's a choice. It's something that you have to actively choose to do, and then you have to actively choose to remove yourself from the hopelessness. And just because you remove yourself from those old ways or those people that are in your energy that are hopeless, maybe you want to take them with you. But the more you stay around that energy, the more they drag you back. They are welcome to come when they're ready. They're welcome to come find out, what is it that you're doing to stay hopeful, right? What are the things? What are you doing? What do you do to keep your vibration up? Maybe those days when you're feeling down, maybe you stop telling yourself, I'm depressed. Maybe you just say, I'm tired, I need rest. And you get rest and stop feeling guilty for it. Recently, I realized that I was overfunctioning, right? A lot of us are overfunctioning. And you need to take a step back. Check in with yourself. Check in. How many times, right? How many times, give me a second here because I have some notes. How many times have you stepped back in order to give yourself a different perspective? How many times, because when we have a thought, that thought ruminates over and over again. And most of the time we get up in the morning and we ruminate on negative thoughts, the negative things that happened the day before. But when you get up in the morning, if you choose to give yourself 3 things that you're grateful for that morning, that starts you off on a positive note. You get to choose how you start your day. I saw something today that said, don't let the day tackle you, tackle your day. Don't let somebody else set the tone for your day. When you get up in the morning, you set the tone for your day. So do a quick step back in the morning, and sometimes that stepping back allows you to take a look at yourself from a different perspective. Like, it's almost stepping out of yourself to say, what would I tell this person? What would I say to this person? What would I say to me if I was standing outside of me, looking at me in my situation? And when you take that step back, all of a sudden, you start speaking to yourself a lot nicer. You start saying a lot more positive things to yourself. So sometimes taking that step back is just what's needed. And do a check-in throughout the day. When you're thinking about things or you're pondering on things, take a moment to check in with how you feel about it. If you're feeling negative, readjust, make it a choice to speak positivity into that thought. Change it around. If you're thinking something negative, oh my gosh, my day sucks today. This sucks. This situation sucks. No, this situation is going to get better. I'm going to find a solution for this situation. Speak positively about whatever it is, because one negative thought leads to another negative thought, but one positive thought can lead to another positive thought. And positive attracts positive. It will, when you put out positivity, you get back positivity. So it would be amazing. Wouldn't it be amazing if you start thinking positive and then someone comes and they say something positive. They thank you for something that you've done, even though your day is a day from hell. But someone says something positive to you and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, like it's all worth it. This is worth it, right? So this is the positivity that's needed when you are tackling your dreams in life, right? Because no matter what anyone else says, because you will have people tell you that you're crazy, you're delusional, what are you talking about? That has never been done before. But just because something hasn't been done before doesn't mean that you can't try it and you can't do it and it can't work for you. Because if you've done the homework and you know that it can work, you'll figure out how to make it work whether or not somebody else thinks it can. And that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day, is that you know that you have the potential. You know that you can make it work. You know that you've done the homework and that this is something that is possible, whether or not someone else chooses to believe you. And this realization is a shift. It's a mindset shift, right? That you make, this choice that you make when situations are feeling down in the dumps, that can make you feel awake again, because you're not always pondering or looking for the negative, right? If I'm thinking about one thing that's happening in the news that's negative, I'm going to be looking for all the negative things to prove my point, to say that this is negative. But if I decide that either I'm not going to watch the news, or I'm going to spin it in a positive light and figure out what about that situation can I take? What's my takeaway? Because I can't change it. Whatever's happening, I can't change. What's my takeaway, and how can I make it better for myself? How can I make it better for the people around me? And how can I make it better maybe for my neighbors? You just never know. You never know what you might come up with. And by the way, the next thing you want to do is make sure that you are celebrating your wins, right? This keeps you in high vibration. This keeps you hopeful. This keeps you in gratitude, right? And it could be small things throughout the day. Like I said, someone comes and they praise you for the work that you did today. They're grateful that you took the time, you gave them that extra minute for the day. Celebrate that. Celebrate that. Especially on those days when you just felt like you didn't even have it in you, and then you figured out, you pulled yourself out of that energy and you gave it anyway. Celebrate yourself. Do something special to commemorate the moment, however small it is, because that will keep you going into the next moment, because you will see that as every step that you take leads you to the next step and the next step and the next step. Every step you accomplish and every accomplishment that you celebrate will keep you shifting your mind in a positive way, and will keep you away from the negativity. There was a time when I've been on social media for a while where I was going down this rabbit hole of all these negative things that are happening. And it's not that those negative things aren't happening, and it's not that some of those things don't matter. But I can't shift that reality. But imagine this. If we all shifted our minds and decided that we were going to think positive, we were going to be positive, and we were going to put out not negative, we were going to put out non-negative or positive energy towards every person we came across. for one day, what would this world look like? What would your town look like? What would your block look like? What would your household look like if everybody in just your household did that? How much negativity would you see if your whole neighborhood did that when you ran into the store? Maybe people would talk to each other, compliment each other when they saw each other, say something nice, because you just never know what one kind word can do for someone, because you don't know where someone is. I just saw something where a lady was talking and she said that she worked at a grocery store, and she went into she was working at a cash register. She was a cashier, and she was always nice to everyone. And that day she was having this lady came through, and she had a bad day, and she just decided to tell this lady, like, what is your problem? And the lady said, oh, my mom just died. And she felt so bad. So you never, not that it excuses anybody's behavior, but when you decide to take the higher road, she could have just said, hey, I see you're having a bad day. Is everything okay? And she might have gotten the answer, the same response, but it would have been a lot nicer, right? It would have come from a more compassionate place. And so sometimes we lose compassion. When we feel hopeless, we lose compassion for those around us. And you can see that all around you now. Right? A lot of people have just lost compassion. Like, you're just like, where's the humanity in people? But if we just decide again that you do what you can do, you keep your, doesn't matter what anybody else do, you keep your humanity. And it starts from your circle, your space. You know what I do sometimes? Sometimes, like, if somebody's being negative, I imagine myself in this bubble of white light that's engulfing me, so that I can just keep that negative energy out. And I tell myself, that's bouncing right off me. I'm not picking it up. I am not picking up what you're laying down. I refuse. That doesn't mean I don't respond. It doesn't mean that the negative behavior or reaction is okay. If I need to respond and let you know that I'm going to pull back, and sometimes you don't need to tell anybody that you're going to pull back. And sometimes sometimes it's okay. Sometimes this is a quiet thing where it's just in your personal space, depending on the situation. But sometimes you need to speak up. What are you not saying that's eating you up inside? And sometimes we're scared because we're scared that we're going to hurt other people's feelings, but other people are not scared to trample on our dreams. So sometimes we have to let people know, hey, you've crossed that boundary. Like, you're getting into my space. Like, you're getting too close. This is not your space. This is not your dream. If you think that my dream is delusional, then you stay in your space with your dream, right? And do your thing. You can't keep it in forever because it boils over. Maybe you find another release, right? If the situation is just not worth it anymore, maybe you just disconnect in a loving way. Maybe you find another way. Maybe you go on a walk. Maybe you release it. Maybe you talk to your therapist. Do what you need to do. Mental health is not only for depression. Sometimes mental health care is also for just letting out the things that you have no other place to let it out. Right? Where you don't want to trauma dump on somebody else. Because we don't want to do that all the time. It's negative. Trauma dumping sometimes leads to trauma bonding. If you don't know what that is, that's when everybody's exchanging trauma stories, like bad things that happen. Like, we're back and forth trading that. And if you're trying to raise your vibration, that's doing nothing to help you. You want to create a routine, right? Have a routine that helps you limit these negative thoughts and gives you structure, right? Like I mentioned earlier about getting up in the morning and you start your day the way you want it to be. You don't let somebody come in and start your day off for you, because if you don't make a decision that your day is going to be positive every day, inevitably there will be somebody that comes in that does something negative that will get you on a spiral down that negative path. But if you already started your day positive, guess what? You already created that bubble where you get to say, I'm not picking up what you're laying down. The next thing I want to say is that Sometimes things aren't falling into place after trying and trying, right? And so at that point, it's going to be time to pivot and ask yourself, is there some way that would be a good idea so that your life can flow more easily and effortlessly? How could you pivot even just a little bit, right? So something's not working, right? Like you're having a negative day, something's not working. And sometimes if you take a break, you regroup, you step back, you do a check-in. Now doing the same thing over and over again is can be insanity, right? Because it's not working. So now you have to figure out, how can you pivot. I am all about working smarter and not harder. And sometimes when you're over focused on something, right, it's almost obsessive because you have this thing that you want and you're obsessing on it. And then sometimes you're thinking in your mind like you have a certain way that it needs to get done because you've made up your mind. That's ABCD. These are the steps that need to be taken to get there. But what if there was another way? What if there was a simpler way, right? If you take a step back, check in, and listen to yourself, you might find that, hey, there's a different way. There's an easier way. Or you might talk to someone that says, hey, there's an easier way to get from point A to point B. You don't have to go all the way around the mountain. There's a shortcut. And that shortcut is going to get you there a lot quicker, right? Which will leave you time to do other things and figure out a lot of other things. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know how you stay positive throughout the day. What do you do when people around you are hopeless? What do you do when people around you are at a loss? Because sometimes we have to support the people around us, but that doesn't mean that we have to pick up what they're laying down, right? We don't have to agree with them. We don't have to trauma bond with them. And nobody's perfect. We all do this. This is something, like I said, it's a choice. It's a lot easier to be hopeless than it is to be hopeful, unfortunately. The difference is that it's a choice. And people sometimes don't think that being hopeless is a choice. It sometimes feels like the easier choice, right? It's the choice of least resistance anyway, because there's so much negativity out there, and so much negativity surrounds us, and so many people around us sometimes can be negative that it seems like the path of least resistance to, if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. But no, if I can't beat them, I'm gonna create my own reality. That's what I'm doing. So if you're joining me, hit that like button, subscribe. Let me know what you do to create your own reality. Let me know what you think about this. And guess what? I will see you in the next one. Sending you love.